Hello, welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Television with the major developments of the day. I am your host, Ilham Aliyev. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, who is on an official visit to the Russian Federation, visited the tomb of the unknown soldier in the Alexander Garden in Moscow. President Ilham Aliyev arrived at the Kremlin Wall in the Alexander Garden in Moscow. The one-on-one meeting between President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, took place on February 22nd. Greeting President Ilham Aliyev, President Vladimir Putin said that the visit coincided with the remarkable event, 30th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries. Saying that today the Declaration on Mutual Allied Relations will be signed, Vladimir Putin added that it was inevitable that this was the new stage in the development of relations, and undoubtedly this was made possible only after achieving the settlement of Karabakh conflict, the work in which is advancing but is yet to be completely settled. But in any case, in terms of provision of security of all the people who live there, and from the perspective of development, trade and economic relations and opening of transport communications, there are certain agreements. I know that there are disputed issues and those which need to be worked upon, but we will do our best to ensure this process proceeds peacefully and to the satisfaction of all the parties involved, said Vladimir Putin. Touching on the trade and economic relations, the head of the Russian Federation accentuated that despite the pandemic, the trade turnover increased by more than 16%, and this was the good indicator. Expressing gratitude to the support of the Russian language in Azerbaijan, Vladimir Putin noted that Russian language was actively studied in Azerbaijani schools and was popular. Informing President Ilham Aliyev on the developments around Ukraine, Vladimir Putin said on February 21st the Russian Federation recognized the sovereignty of two People's Republic of Donbass. Saying that there are speculations around this topic that Russia is trying to restore the empire based on the borders of the Russian Empire, Vladimir Putin rebuffed the speculations and said they were not true. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia confessed all new geopolitical realities, and as you know, it is actively working on strengthening of mutual relations with all the independent states established in the CIS space. Even in the settlement of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, we acted accurately in very critical situations, and we considered the interests of all the players which are party to this process, and have always tried to achieve mutually acceptable resolutions, said Vladimir Putin. Saying that regretfully after the coup d'etat in Ukraine the level and quality of mutual relations was not the same, the head of state accentuated that this happened only after the coup d'etat, when those who attempted it came to power illegally in Ukraine. Touching on the recent events in Kazakhstan, Vladimir Putin said that at the request of the leadership of Kazakhstan, Russia supported Kazakhstan within the framework of the Collective Treaty Security Organization. As soon as the problem was resolved, we withdrew our armed forces within the framework of the Collective Security Treaty Organization at the request of the leadership of Kazakhstan, and we continue to cooperate with Kazakhstan on all the directions. We will talk about everything in detail. Once again, welcome, said Vladimir Putin. Thanking President Vladimir Putin, President Ilham Aliyev expresses gratitude for the invitation extended to pay an official visit to the Russian Federation. Expressing his satisfaction with the regular character of the relations, the head of state recalled that their last meeting had taken place at the end of November last year, and the fact that they are meeting today testifies to the dynamic development of relations. Touching on the Declaration on Allied Relations, President Ilham Aliyev noted that this declaration vividly illustrated how they worked actively and built the capacity of mutual cooperation over the recent years. Saying that the declaration covered the most important areas of mutual cooperation, the head of state added that this was a very important document for the future of bilateral relations. Touching on the level of trade turnover between the two countries, the head of state said it had exceeded $3 billion. The Russian Federation played a very important role in stopping the war between Azerbaijan and Armenia and ensuring a smooth transition from the hot conflict stage to the political diplomacy. The trilateral statement signed with your participation in November of 2020 allowed us to put an end to this long conflict. Today, there is a new situation. The geopolitical realities in the region are accepted by the international community. Russia plays a very important role, I would say the main role in the normalization of relations between Azerbaijan and Armenia, opening of transport communications, and creating opportunities for establishing normal neighborhood relations. We highly value this. We hope that, like us, Armenia will also implement all the provisions of the trilateral statement signed in November of 2020, said President Ilham Aliyev. A declaration on allied interaction between the Republic of Azerbaijan and the Russian Federation was signed in Moscow on February 22nd.
Дамы и господа, начинается церемония подписания.
A declaration on allied interaction between the Republic of Azerbaijan and Russian Federation was signed in Moscow. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev and President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin signed the document.
Церемония подписания завершена.
Following this, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev and President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin made press statements. President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin stated that the declaration on allied interaction between the Republic of Azerbaijan and the Russian Federation defined the transition of relations between the two states on a qualitatively new level. This document became the main outcome of the negotiations, and it's symbolic that this document has been signed on the anniversary year, 30 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations between Azerbaijan and Russia. Vladimir Putin emphasized that in the last decade, Russian-Azerbaijani relations visibly expanded, and the Russian Federation intended to continue these developments and traditions of friendliness and good neighborliness in the future. Touching upon the prospect of increased cooperation in the trade and economic field, President of the Russian Federation noted that the trade turnover between the two states increased considerably in 2021. Noting that the cooperation covered many fields, including the industry, Vladimir Putin expressed readiness to expand ties in the financial sector as well. When it comes to medicine and pharmaceuticals, joint strides made in the fight against the global pandemic were emphasized. Speaking on the humanitarian sphere, the Russian head of state drew special attention to Days of Azerbaijan, organized in Moscow. President Vladimir Putin informed that the relations between Azerbaijan and Armenia were also in the spotlight of the discussion with President Ilham Aliyev. The importance of implementation of all obligations assumed by Azerbaijan, Armenia and Russia on Karabakh was reaffirmed. In this regard, special attention was paid to opening of all transport communications in the region. Vladimir Putin said that Russia will continue to assist in the issue of delimitation and demarcation between Armenia and Azerbaijan, saying that as a whole, today's negotiations demonstrated that Russia and Azerbaijan were mutually interested in preserving stability and security in the South Caucasus and Caspian regions. President Vladimir Putin expressed confidence that the agreements reached will serve future strengthening of the Russian-Azerbaijani relations in their entirety.
Благодарю вас за внимание. Уважаемый Владимир Владимирович,
President Ilham Aliyev said that the regularity of meetings with President Vladimir Putin was an indicator of the dynamic development of bilateral relations between the two states. Noting that Russia and Azerbaijan share a centuries-long history of friendship and good neighborliness, the head of our state noted that there is large legislative framework between the two countries. But the declaration signed today is of special importance. We steadily move towards this day, increasing potential of cooperation along the way, building relations based on trust and consideration of mutual interests, said President Ilham Aliyev. Declaration on allied interaction between the Republic of Azerbaijan and the Russian Federation, consisting of 43 items, covers all aspects of the Russian-Azerbaijani cooperation. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan said that this document is not only about the outcomes of the cooperation, but also opens up great prospects for the future. Political cooperation, support within international organizations, trade turnover will continue to expand. Touching upon the issues of the conversation with President Vladimir Putin, President Ilham Aliyev said the opportunities of mutual investment, growth of cooperation in the transport sphere in the regional format are very promising. The existing 3+3 platform gives grounds for positive prospects of commissioning all transport communications, taking into consideration the current geopolitical realities of the region. Stressing the importance of humanitarian cooperation, President Ilham Aliyev stated that the Baku Humanitarian Forum, which was postponed due to the pandemic, will be resumed this year under the patronage of presidents of both states. When it comes to cooperation in the liberated territories, there is great interest from Russian companies to participate in undergoing works. President Ilham Aliyev once again stressed that Armenia is expected to fully comply with November 10 statement in regards to withdrawal of all armed forces from the territory of Karabakh and opening of all communications between Azerbaijan and Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic, but unfortunately this process is being prolonged. Azerbaijan continues to propose the signing of the peace treaty. New realities will bring new opportunities. Azerbaijan is focused on peaceful cooperation and finding diplomatic ways of settlement, and considers Russia an important contributor to this process, concluded President Ilham Aliyev.
народу России новых успехов и новых достижений. Спасибо.
On February 22nd, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev familiarized himself with the Coordination Center of the Russian Cabinet of Ministers and met with Prime Minister of the Russian Federation Mikhail Mishustin. Prime Minister of the Russian Federation Mikhail Mishustin greeted President Ilham Aliyev. Then they posed for joint photo. Afterwards, a meeting between President Ilham Aliyev and Prime Minister of Russia Mikhail Mishustin took place. A number of events took place within the framework of Azerbaijani Days in Moscow. Vice President of the Heydar Aliyev Foundation, Leyla Aliyeva, attended the event sponsored by the Heydar Aliyev Foundation. Works by people's artist Tahir Salahov are demonstrated at the exposition titled Pieces from the Collection of Tretyakov Gallery in New Tretyakov Gallery as part of Days of Azerbaijan in Moscow. The famous pieces of the artists named Gladiolus and Garagarayev's portrait are presented to the viewers. Vice President of the Heydar Aliyev Foundation, Leyla Aliyeva, familiarized herself with the expositions. The exposition features works by Tahir Salahov in still life painting, scenery and portrait genres. The prominent artist also linked the multi-century traditions of Azerbaijani art with the achievements of European painting school. Afterwards, the Azerbaijani music stars performed a holiday concert on a Moscow stage on Gallikon Opera Theatre. The prominent masters of arts performed the pieces by Azerbaijani and Russian classics. The aim of the event, held within the framework of Azerbaijani Days in Moscow and sponsored by the Heydar Aliyev Foundation, is to familiarize the Muscovites and guests of the city with the history and spiritual legacy of Azerbaijan. Speaker of the Moldovan Parliament Igor Grosso visited Milli Majlis. At the meeting with Chair of the Parliament Sahiba Gafarova, establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries, activity of the intergovernmental commissions, development of political and economic relations were discussed. Noting that Moldova is bordering with the EU countries, Sahiba Gafarova paid attention to Azerbaijan's relations with the organization. It was conveyed that Azerbaijan provides great contribution to the provision of energy security of Europe. Speaking about the restoration and construction works carried out in the liberated territories, the Speaker noted that large-scale work had been carried out in a short period of time and a new transport infrastructure had been created. Speaker of the Moldovan Parliament Igor Grosso stated that his country had always supported territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. Touching upon the envisaged visit to the liberated territories, the guest noted that it's a good opportunity to get acquainted with the implemented projects. Moldovan Parliament Speaker thanked Azerbaijan for assistance provided to his country in combating the global pandemic. War Crimes Against Cultural Heritage, Karabakh in Historical Context Conference was held within the framework of the 11th International Multiculturalism Winter School in the State Committee for Work with Religious Organizations. Multicultural traditions, relations between religions, preservation of cultural heritage in Azerbaijan, as well as Armenian vandalism committed in the territories liberated from the occupation were discussed. It was noted that as a result of the 30-year-long occupation, 65 mosques out of 67 were destroyed. The misrepresentation by Armenians of the Göy Mescidi Mosque in Yerevan, along with the Yukhari Gövharaga Mosque in Shusha, as an example of Persian culture, was also highlighted. Heads of religious denominations in Azerbaijan have made an appeal to international community on the Khojalı genocide. The appeal says that as a result of its policy of occupation, ethnic cleansing and genocide, Armenia has committed spiritual aggression and genocide against the religious, cultural and historical heritage of Azerbaijan. Muslim and other religious temples in those areas, including Russian Orthodox churches, cultural and historical monuments and cemeteries, were subjected to Armenian vandalism for many years. Ancient Albanian Christian churches were attempted to be Armenianized. The religious denominations in Azerbaijan declared their support to put an end to the attempts of revanchism in our region. Once again, we call on the world's religious leaders, international organizations, the parliaments and the international community to mobilize for these high aims, and especially call on the Armenian Apostolic Church to promote human values, ideals of peace and reconciliation, reads the statement. 2,372 infections with the novel coronavirus were registered in Azerbaijan. 4,616 people recovered after treatment and were released home. 19 people who had earlier tested positive for COVID-19 died. The overall confirmed cases in Azerbaijan have reached 777,804, with 742,326 recoveries, and 9,280 deaths. The number of active infections is 26,198. To detect new infection cases over the past day, 10,318 tests and overall 6,501,358 tests were conducted in Azerbaijan, the task force under the Cabinet of Ministers reported. That was all for the day. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.